Well, hello. We left you on a bit of a cliffhanger last video, and so here's part 2 of our adventure when a cruise doesn't go to plan. So watch on.
So, I'm Mamajane's husband, and this is
Mamajane.
And we had to cut short our cruise on Queen Mary II to New York and the Caribbean and fly home early from New York. And we had to do that because our son had a cardiac arrest. Now, thankfully, he had great CPR, got taken to the local A&E by the ambulance service, and then got admitted onto coronary care. And he is doing very, very well. Now, it has to be said, we're very grateful to the NHS, but we're also very grateful to the company that runs his supported living, because they were also very attentive, weren't they, Mamajane?
Very attentive, yeah. And they literally started his care and support in the hospital as opposed to where he lives. So that was very good.
So we felt very well supported throughout. And while we couldn't get back for a week, our other family, particularly his sisters, felt very well supported by the company. So that was excellent. And the nurses and doctors and all the healthcare professionals were really, really good. But he was in hospital for a good few weeks, I think 3 weeks in total, because of him having Down syndrome. He needed to have a general anaesthetic to have his defibrillator fitted. So it wasn't the easiest time, was it, Mamajane?
No, because he was very frustrated, obviously. He didn't know why he was in hospital because he wasn't ill, and he wasn't ill. And fortunately, he didn't have another arrest, but he could have done, which is why he wasn't allowed home. So he was very frustrated, but as I say, he had 24-hour support from his support staff, plus the nursing staff, plus family members. So, you know, he was well cared for. And he needed a general anaesthetic because of his learning disabilities. He wouldn't have understood or been still or anything.
To have the defibrillator fitted.
Yeah.
So, it was a grueling time, really. Grueling time. And we got him home, and then we got home. We got back to where we live, and you had to go for a sleep, didn't you?
I went for a sleep, yeah.
Yeah, I watched, I caught up on the sport on TV, and then I woke you up.
With a view to drinking coffee, having a shower, and then going out, because it was only mid-afternoon at this point. We were going to go out and go
have some
pudding.
food.
Actually, have pudding.
In the Christmas market.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, after Mamajane had got up and had a cup of coffee, I had some very strange conversations with her.
This is not unusual.
This is not unusual, but these were exceptionally strange, even for Mamajane. And I thought, goodness me. And then she stopped talking.
Which is very unusual.
Which is very unusual. And I thought, I found the pause button at last. But then I realised, in fact, I thought Mamajane were having a stroke, which was scary, really. So we called the ambulance, and while the ambulance was coming, Mamajane had a seizure.
Now, thankfully, it sounds quite grotesque, this seizure, but thankfully, I was totally unaware of any of it. Yeah. I don't remember the ambulance arriving. I don't... nothing. I vaguely remember getting into the ambulance and then waking up in the ambulance and talking rubbish, really, to the ambulance man. But at least at that point, I knew I was talking rubbish.
Yes, okay, yeah. And of course, I had to manage through all this. It was a fairly freaky situation. And the ambulance came very promptly. We got Mamajane to the hospital very quickly. Now, what is that? That is some alarm. Are you supposed to be doing something now? Is that just an alarm that just randomly gone off?
A random alarm.
A random alarm. I think yeah, okay, that means the dinner's burnt. That means the dinner's burnt anyway. So, got to A&E, a very busy A&E. And that's the Accident and Emergency Department, by the way, for our non-English viewers. And we had quite a long stop there, really, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Once I'd had blood tests done, then I sent Mamajane's husband home because I knew we were in for a long stay.
Yeah. We had we went through the various departments, so we had to wait a little bit in the ambulance. Then when she was initially assessed, we got into another holding area and a few more assessments. Then we had got taken for some blood to be taken, and then we got taken to this place called the Clinical Decision Unit, and it was there that they advised us that Mamajane needed a scan. And that would take some hours. So by now it was quite late in the evening, and we decided I should go home.
Yeah, and the thing was, once you're in this clinical decision unit, you're very well looked after. It's not like the ordinary accident and emergency department. You're still in a chair, you're not on a bed, but at least you're having your observations done, blood pressure, etc., vital signs. And you're also being fed toast, sandwiches. You're well looked after by staff, and so you're not just dumped in a room waiting, because it was a long wait. About 12 hours altogether. And during that time, I went and had a CT scan, which is just a fairly straightforward scan of my head. And at this point, everybody was thinking it was stress and lack of sleep. The people in the emergency department, the people in the clinical assessment department, the doctors, all thought it was just lack of sleep, which can cause a seizure. But no. When the results came back...
The poor little doctor, you said, looked so sad.
She looked so sad. Well, she looks about 3 years old for a start, which I'm sure she probably wasn't. She was at least 6. But she was lovely. It's because I'm very old. She was so lovely, and I felt so sorry for her. And she said, you know, Jane, this is not what we thought. And so I said to her, no, I think it's a tumour. And she looked quite relieved that I had already decided that. And she said, yes, you'll need to stay in and have an MRI scan, which is a much more in-depth scan.
More detailed.
Yeah, and also I was given a loading dose of various drugs to prevent further seizures.
Yes. So, now I did get home, and I did manage to get some sleep. But interestingly enough, I woke at about 5 o'clock and thought, and I just had this feeling, and I thought, I'm going to give Mamajane a ring in a minute. And then she rang to tell me she got a brain tumour, which was, but somehow I sort of suspected it. I had a inkling that this is what was happening. And so anyway, to cut a very long story short, Mamajane had a few days in hospital. She had her MRI scan, which confirmed that she had something called a meningioma, which thankfully is likely to be a benign tumour. So it could be an awful lot worse. So now we are just working our way through and waiting for appointments and for an operation date, aren't we?
Yeah. Now, because this is a meningioma, which is a tumour which is usually benign, and it's between your skull and your brain.
Yeah.
The fact that it's in your head is not good, but it's probably not going to infiltrate any other areas of the brain. But the strange thing is, it's probably been there over 20 years growing. And perhaps it was the stress and the lack of sleep that just tipped it over the edge. But the funny thing is, it's quite near the speech area. So sometimes I sound as if I've got a kind of stammer. But also I'm on quite high doses of anti-seizure medication. So I'm not sure whether it's the tumour or the medication that makes me feel quite tired and not quite, you know...
In a way, you could say you're a bit diminished at the moment.
Diminished?
Diminished. You're not quite yourself.
I'm not 100%, no.
And particularly after 4 o'clock,
Forget it.
I would say you are diminished, which is, I've been thinking hard and fast how best to describe you, really.
I'm neither use nor ornament, is what we say in Yorkshire.
Diminished. So anyway, it's 5 centimeters diameter, this tumour.
So it's big. 2 inches in old money. 2 inches.
Yeah, in old money, that's 2 inches. Yeah. So think a bit bigger than a golf ball.
And it's here.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I will not tolerate is negative thoughts. No. I won't even think negative. I won't.
What was that?
See what I mean? I won't have negative thoughts about.
All positive. We're all positive.
Positive. Yeah. I want people to laugh when I can't talk properly, because that's fine. I want also. I don't look on this tumour as a negative thing. I look on it as somebody who's been a house guest for over 20 years, and you know what? Now it's time they went.
Time for eviction.
Time for, well, not even eviction. No, time that they just went.
I think it's an eviction.
You think it's an eviction?
Yeah.
But I want to keep it as positive as I can. And I know a lot of people, when they've got a tumour, they think of it in very negative ways and want to get rid of it. Yeah, and I want rid of it, but in a positive way. So we've got various things. Now, the thing is, we've got 6 cruises booked. Or we had 6 cruises booked. And so Cruising's Gone Wrong, part 2. And we've had to cancel 2 of the cruises. One of the cruises, we should have been flying from Manchester this coming Saturday, the 1st of February. We should have been going to Manchester tomorrow and stopping overnight and then flying very early on Saturday morning to Barbados and getting on P&O Avia. But we obviously realised and were advised in the hospital that that was not going to be happening. And we're also advised, we've also then come back from that, and next month we should have been going to Japan and doing our first cruise on Holland America around Japan and a bit of South Korea. And we've now cancelled that as well. Because, as the consultant pointed out, even if we could get insurance, it would cost more than the holiday.
Yeah.
So
and actually, the advice that we've had from the medical staff is not to leave the country. So we've needed to cancel at least 2 of the 6 cruises we've got booked. Now, it's interesting because we booked the cruise with P&O direct with them. It's actually a very long story cruise, this, because it's one of our rearranged COVID cruises, which through a variety of reasons had been rearranged 4 times already. So we booked direct with P&O in the first place, and it's just been rearranged. So we booked it with them. Now, I have to say, P&O very sympathetic, and it was easy enough to get through to them and have some good discussions with them, and advice, and they told us, and a very clear cancellation policy, and I thought quite a fair cancellation policy. There was a cancellation penalty, I think it was about £2,000. So we lost half the price of the cruise, 50%, when we booked it. So from when we booked it, and that was clear, and I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't let us transfer it. But they wouldn't let us transfer it because, like I said, it had already been transferred a number of times because it was originally a cancelled COVID cruise. Now, I've got quite a lot, we both got quite high status level with P&O because we've cruised a lot on P&O. So I was a little bit disappointed they didn't give us any leeway. And it makes you think whether we will go again with them. So now we are in the stage of trying to claim this money back from the insurance company. It's the same insurance company that we reclaimed the Cunard cruise from. It's taking a little bit longer this time, and I don't know why, but we'd already had our money refunded by this stage for the first cruise. This one's taking a little bit longer. The paperwork we're having to submit seems a bit different. So I don't quite know why that is. One of the differences is that previously we were on the cruise and it was a family member, and they accepted the discharge summary for Owen as proof of what had happened. And it was all dealt with very quickly. This time, because it's a cruise we haven't been on yet, and it's Mamajane, they needed an extensive form filling in by our GP. Which is crazy, really, because our GP has to rely completely on what the consultants at the hospital have said. So why we couldn't have used the discharge summary again, I have no idea. But we had to have this very long form filled in by our GP and had to submit that. And then we've had a problem submitting and sending the documents because the file that you end up is so large that it wouldn't download at the insurance company's end. So I've had to send it page at a time. So I've had to send the information in, I think, a total of about 12 or 14 emails, because every page has had to be sent separately. So this has delayed the cruise, the claim. My advice is that actually it's worth, when you submit information for a claim, ring up to make sure that they've got it and that they can open it.
Because they didn't tell you.
They didn't tell me. I had to sort of chase it and find out what was going on. So that's a top tip, really. Yeah. Don't assume they've got it and they can open it, because we lost about 4 weeks doing that. Okay, so top tip. And then. So I'm hopeful that will all come back. Now, the other cruise, the cruise to Japan, was booked via Imagine Cruises, which are a travel agent. I don't know if they do anything outside the UK or not. And we booked this cruise. Now, they have a very different cancellation policy. And I'll be perfectly honest, I think it's not very fair cancellation policy. So proportionately, we've lost an awful lot more. But if you think about it, it's the same situation as with P&O. It's a bundled booking with Imagine Cruising. So they have booked the flights for us, they've booked all the transfers for us, they booked the cruise for us. Even one of the excursions when we get back to Tokyo was booked by them. However, their cancellation charges have proved to be much, much higher. And in the very smallest print, it advises that they could even be higher than they quoted. And in fact, they've admitted that flight cancellations with them, they take 100%. Now, what disappoints me is if I booked all the various elements myself, I'd have got a lot more money back. So, again, another top tip, really think twice about using some of these bundled holidays with travel agents and really check through the cancellation charges and think carefully about it. I never paid much attention to what the cancellation charges were.
And when we booked it with Mamajane, that's the one that was such a good deal.
Yes, it was a cracking deal.
Such a good deal that, you know, we thought, oh, this is a brilliant deal. And there's no way we could have done it ourselves for that price. And which would have been fabulous if we'd been going.
Yeah.
But as it is, and we can't go now, we were not to know. This was totally out of the blue. I have never, you know, never thought this could happen. So
far, two very different experiences of cancelling the cruise. And we haven't started the claim for the other cruise because we've actually only just cancelled it and only received what refund we've got today. So there will be a part 3 of this video, and I'm going to go into quite a bit of depth with the cancellation of the Japan cruise with Mamajane Cruises, because I've learned quite a bit more about terms and conditions and ABTA regulations and what should be or shouldn't be happening. And it might not be the finished story with Mamajane. I'm still checking on our legal possibilities. So we'll see, but there will definitely be a more detailed video about the Japan cruise that we had to cancel that was booked via Mamajane Cruises.
So I think the lesson learned is if you have got an illness, which you've got the insurance cover for, but it does then mean that you've got to cancel, really check out the small print. And let's be honest, we don't, do we? No, we don't. Because it is literally so small that you can't read it. And you always hope it's a waste of money, don't you, insurance?
You do. Yeah. That's the whole point. Insurance should be a total waste of money.
Total waste of money.
But if you do need to claim, it is there. And boy, are we very grateful that we had got our travel insurance.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would be already out by thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll come out of this not out of pocket very much.
Now, we will keep you updated about my head situation because, you know, I might even do that as a separate vlog.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But I think we'll probably keep vlogging on this channel about Mamajane's head.
And if they find any brain at all.
Yes. But we've got some, I think it's certainly an interesting journey we're on. So look out for more videos about when cruising goes wrong. But we are hopefully going to get some videos posted about Arvia, when we did go on Arvia end of last year. And also we're going to give a little bit of a video about Queen Mary 2 as well, which I think we've got quite a bit of. We were on there for a week, so there's plenty to say about that. So watch out for them. And then also you may have picked up previously that Mamajane's not only got a dodgy head, she's got a dodgy knee as well, haven't you?
And should have been having a new knee. Now, that's the only good thing, is that we'd already left this summer blank because the plan was in April to have a new knee. Well, obviously, I mean, I don't see why we can't have two surgeons, one on my knee and one on my head, but that's not practical. So that's not going to happen. So my knee is still dodgy, but that's the least of my worries.
So some of the cruise excursions that we've been on in the last 12 months, Mamajane opted out of them because they...
Hopted.
Do you like that one? Opted out.
What I did then,
Hopped it out. That was very clever, really. Yeah. Hopped it out of. So only I did the excursions or the exploring. So there are going to be some videos, just me talking about excursions at various ports. Because Mamajane didn't do any of them. So
and the things that I did do instead, like drinking wine, reading a good book, eating cakes, don't make very good videos. So you'll just have to imagine.
So for now, this is the end of part 2 of When Cruising Goes Wrong. And I'm sure there'll be a part 3 and possibly a part 4. So keep on looking out for them, but also look out for our videos about cruise ships and excursions. So for now, it's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from
him. Oh, and me.
Yeah, goodbye from us. Bye.
Bye.